Guys, able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so before I start up, right? So anyone having any questions, doubts? No questions, doubts? Say yes or no. Fine. So this group, so these are going to execute group by group basis. Okay, that means in the row level functions, whatever the function that we are going to apply, so that will be applicable for each of the row. That will be applicable for each of the row. So for each and every row, the function will execute. For example, init cap. So init cap for each and every record, the string value it will change it to in init cap or upper, lower. Okay, any function, any row level function is going to applicable or is going to apply for each and every row. So that's why we'll call them as a row level functions. Okay. So in group level functions, basically what will happen is, so from a table, it is going to take the entire data. So from the entire data, so we are going to define the group by class. So whatever the columns that we are going to define in the group by class, so those columns, they are going to form a groups. In the backend, this is a select statement, right? It is going to form a group based on the columns, whatever we are going to define in the group by class. Okay. Now, whatever the columns that have been there in the group by class, only those columns that we have to keep in the select statement, apart from group level functions. So what are the group level functions? Ans, min, average, count. So these are the 5 group level functions that we have in Oracle. Okay. So in the select statement, when we wanted to get the data, when we wanted to get some max, min, average, count data, we are going to use these group level functions. So these group level functions, in order to make use of them, so we need to have a group by class. In the group by class, we have to specify the columns. On which column combination we need this max value, on which column combination we need this average, which column combination we need this count. Okay. So if you don't specify any combination, for example, if you don't give any group by class, if you don't specify any combination, then it is going to take the entire table data set as a single group. If we specify, so these columns should be in the group by class. Okay, if we specify, so then, so the groups will be formed as per that group by columns. So then the group level functions will applicable for only those. Okay. Any questions? Any doubts? I'll show it in time. Anyone having any questions here on the concept wise? Okay, let's assume that we have this data. Okay, so we have this data. So now, first let me execute a clean select statement. Let's start from employee. Now we have this data. Now, so the employee ID, right? Where I can say, so 100 is repeated, 200 is repeated, 300 is repeated. Okay. or I'll change in a different way. So let me have a column created. Let me add the department number field instead of using employee ID. Now let me execute this. So we have 6 employees here. So each employee is belonging to certain department. Department 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2. Okay. Now we wanted to know. So now the requirement says I wanted what is the total salary of all the employees. That means sum of salary. So when we are not going to define any group by class, so this entire set is going to form a group. See 40,500. Let's start from employee. So when we are going to make sum of all these things, also will come 40,500 only. 3 plus plus 12.5 plus 9 plus 40,500. What is the result that we got it? 40,500. Right. So when we wanted to get the complete information, when we wanted to get the complete sum of salary, then we are going to use some function, but we are not going to use any group by class. So instead, if you wanted at the department wise, what is the salary? So department wise, what is the salary? Department wise, what is the salary that we are going to give or that we are going to get it? So then we are going to use group by class, group by department number. So then what is going to happen? So let us assume that this is the complete table. So this circle, whatever you are seeing, right? So this is the complete table. Let us assume that this is a table. Now, if you don't have any group by class, whatever the data which is there in entire table, it will form a single group. Okay, so there is one single circle. It is a single group. When we have group by class, so whatever the columns which we are going to define in the group by class, with that column combination, groups are going to get formed. Okay. Now, how many groups that when we say department number, how many departments that we have? 3 departments we have. Department number 1, 2, 3. 3 groups is going to form. Okay. See here, we have 3 departments, right? 1, 2, 3. So this is for department number 1. This is for department number 2. This is for department number 3. Okay. So for each group, one in the entire table data set, as per the group by column, how many records are there? 1, 2, 3. So those many groups will be formed. Those many groups will be formed. Now, for each group, what is the sum of salary? For each group, what is the sum of salary that we are going to get? And there is one more condition is that whatever the columns that we are going to define in the group by class, only those columns can be defined in the select statement apart from group level functions. We cannot give any other columns. So now we have department number in my group by class. Because of that, I can give only department number in the self state. See how many groups that have been formed? 1, 2, 3. So one group, second group, and third group. So now in the entire table set, so this is how the groups are going to form. On top of the group, once it is going to form the groups, right? On top of the group, this group level function will execute. Some salary. Now, if you wanted to get maximum salary, max of salary on the department wise. Department wise, what is the maximum salary? For each department, what is the maximum salary? So this is the complete table data set. Okay, now what is the maximum salary in each department? So department number 1. So in department number, what is the maximum salary? 7,500. In department 2, what is the maximum salary? 10,000. Department number 3, 6,000. See, department number 3 is 6,000. Department number 2 is 10,000. Department number 1 is 7,500. So this is a group level function is going to execute. This group by class is going to form a group based on the columns, whatever we define. Accordingly, it is going to apply these group level functions. In the same way, you can do min function. So min function is going to give us min of salary. See, now we will get to know, but here in our local laptop, right, when we are practicing, we will be having limited data, like 5 records, 6 records, like that. But when you get into real time, so in real time, you will be having millions of data. Out of millions of data, out of million groups, thousands of groups will be there. So out of thousands of groups, millions of data will be there. So for each group, what is the value and what is the minimum value that we wanted to identify? Then we can use this kind of group level functions. So in the same way, we can use average function as well. Average of salary. Average salary. So 7,500 plus 3,000. 10,500 divided by 2 is 5,250. So average salary is 5,250. Okay, so this is how average function is going to work. And count. Total, how many number of records are there? Count star. Many number of records are there. So count is going to give us at each group level how many number of records are there. Okay, for department number 1, there are 2 records. For department number 2, there are 3 records. Department number 3, there is 1 record. Same, right? Department number 1, there are 2 records. Department number 2, there are 3 records. Department number 3, there is only 1 record. So count is going to be used to identify how many number of records which are there for each of the group. Okay, so these are the 5 group level functions that we are going to use it. Anyone having any questions? Did everybody able to understand? Please let me know if you are not able to understand.
Understood.
Others, Jyoti, chemistry.
Yeah, understood.
Okay. So this is how we are going to use the group level function. So majority, right? Majority in real time. So we are going to use this group level function majorly for the counts. Okay. So to identify the total how many number of records are there. So select counts. Okay, that means how many number of records are there in the entire table, as I explained, right? So if you don't have any group by class, so the entire table set is going to form a single group. Entire table set is going to form a single group. So in that, so then the count star is going to give on top of the complete data. Okay, and one more real-time example that we are going to use it with the group by class is how to identify duplicate data from a table. How to identify duplicate data from a table. So duplicate data means the records which are being repeated in the table. The records which are being repeated in the table. Now, how these records are being repeated? So that means on which column combination we wanted to know this column is a repeated or this value is repeated value. Right? So we need to have an identifier. Okay, or not identifier, we need to identify the columns. On which column combination we have to identify duplicates. Now, for example, each department level, if you wanted to see, okay, group by department number. Count star greater than 1. So for each department, so I need to identify which department is having more than one employee. Which department is having more than one employee, right? That means it's a duplicate record. Okay, so in the entire table set, you see entire table set, employee IDs are unique, but departments are duplicated. Okay, now if you wanted to identify, you can execute this. Having constant greater than 1. Having constant greater than 1. So first, what will happen is, first this group by class will form a group and it will try to identify the counts. And then this having class will execute. This having class will identify which all the records are having counts are greater than 1. Those records we are going to do. So here, since we have group department number in the group by class, we can have it in the select statement as well. See, for department number 1, 2 records are there. Department number 2, 3 records are there. For all other departments, we don't have any duplicate records, or that means we don't have any other employee more than one employee. Okay. Sometimes we wanted to identify, is there any employee ID duplicated values? Okay. So do we have any employee IDs duplicated? Now MP ID select statement also we are going to get MP EID. So now what is going to form for each and every employee ID, it's going to form a one group, and then this group level function is going to execute. It will get the count. Now this having class will identify a record if any record is having more than one value. See, null. That means we don't have any duplicate data. Okay, so this is how we are going to write a SQL statement to identify whether the record is a duplicated record or unique record. So how to identify duplicate data? We are going to use a select statement with group by class having count star greater than 1. This is how we have to tell in interviews. Any questions here? Does anyone having any questions here? Next, order of execution. So in a select statement, right? What are the different clauses that we can give? One is where class, where also we can give. That means to filter any data. We can use where class, we can use group by class. And we can also use order by class. We can also use order by class. Now, when we have all of them in a single place, where group by having order by, if all of them are there in a single place, now how, in which order it is going to execute? First, this where class will execute. It will filter out the data. So with that data, group by class will execute. So this group by class is going to form a group, and then it will identify this group level function, and then this having class will execute. It will filter out the data based on this count, and then the order by class will execute to give the data in ascending order or descending order. Okay, so for where class, group by class, having class, order by class, this is the order. Okay, any questions? Any group by group function, group by function? Yes, before I start with analytical functions. No questions? So these analytical functions, right, basically. So these analytical functions, we are going to use it. This we'll call it as a combination of row level and group level functions. So they will work like a group level function, but they'll execute for each and every row. Okay, so that is the reason they are different from group level functions. So they did not include it in the group level function because so they act like a group level function, but it will be executing for each and every row. Okay. Now, what are the different analytical functions that we have? Rank, dense rank, lead, lag, and list tag. These are the 5 analytical functions that we have. So the list tag function will not work in our local laptop. So because we are using Oracle 10G version, but list tag function will work only from Oracle 11G function, 11G version. Okay. So this, I'll show you the syntax. What is the syntax? Okay, how we have to execute. So just understand the syntax. But these 4 functions, I can show you guys. Okay, so rank function. So rank function is going to be used to give non-sequential ranking. Rank function is going to be used to give non-sequential ranking. So I'll show you what is a non-sequential ranking. Dense rank is going to give us sequential ranking. Okay, now let me show you guys that. So this is the common syntax, the rank and dense rank functions, right? This is the common syntax even when you get into real time also. Okay, select employee name, employee ID, department number. So these are the columns which are present in the table. Okay, now the rank function. So please understand this rank function. Try to remember the syntax also. Rank over order by department number. Rank from employee. Okay. Now this rank function, what it is going to do? It will do an order by department number. Okay. It will do order by a department number and it will generate a rank. Okay. So rank function, as I told, it is going to give us non-sequential ranking. That means if any value is being repeated, so it is going to duplicate the rank, and how many number of ranks are being duplicated, those many values it will get skipped. Okay. Now let me show you guys. Yeah, if you see here, this is the department number 1 1. So rank 1 is repeated 2 times. Now, since rank 1 is repeated 2 times, the number value 2 is skipped. Now it started with 3, 3, 3. How many values again it is skipped? 2 times the value is being skipped. So that's why the value is like 4, 5 is skipped, 6 is coming. Okay, so that this we'll call it as a non-sequential ranking. Rank function is going to give us non-sequential ranking. So how many number of values or how many number of ranks are being duplicated? Those many values it will get skipped. Now we do have dense rank. Dense rank is going to give us sequential ranking. 1 1, 2 2 2 2, 3 like that. So rank function is going to give us non-sequential ranking. Dense rank function is going to give us sequential ranking. So this is the difference between rank and dense rank functions. Okay. So now even here also, right? So we can also use dense rank over partition by class. So when we are going to use partition by class, okay, so we can also use partition by class here. So when we use partition by class, so in the select statement itself, it is going to form groups. In the select statement itself, it is going to form groups, and then it is going to give the ranks based on the groups. So we are going to get the rank value for each and every row, but the rank value will be at group level. So that's why we'll call them as a analytical functions. Okay, now you understood, right? What is rank function, what is rank function, and how they are working. Anyone having any questions? We do also have lead and lag functions. So lead function we are going to use to get the next row value in the current row itself. To get the next row value in the current row. So why are we going to use this one is, so when we wanted to compare the previous record value with the current record value, because in real time when we are going to work, so when we wanted to compare the previous row value with the next row or next row value with the current row, then we are going to use this lead and lag functions. So lead function is going to give next row value in the current row. The lag function we are going to use to get previous row value in the current row. Lead function, right? The lead function is going to give next row salary. Okay. Now, if you see here, salary 3,000, 5,000, 6,000. So for the 3,000, what is the next row? Is 5,000. That's why we are getting the 5,000 next row value in the current row itself. Okay. So for 5,000, what is the next row? 6,000. That's why we are getting 6,000 in the current row itself. Okay. For last row, we don't have any next row. That's why it is 0. Okay, so why here we are getting 0? Because here we have given 0. Now the lead function syntax is from which column value that we wanted to get in the current row. Now, how many? One means immediate next row you need, or immediate next 2 rows value you need, or immediate next 3 rows values you need. So one we are going to give immediate next row. One we are going to give immediate next row. When we give 2, immediate next 2 rows. When I give 2, 3,000, So next second row, immediate next second row is 6,000. That's why we are getting 6,000 here. For 5,000, what is the next second row? Is 7,500. Is 7,500. So earlier when I give 1 comma 0, so one is nothing but immediate next row. So that's why we were getting 3,000 and 5,000 here, because 5,000 is the immediate next row. But here we have given 2. 2 means immediate next second row. Okay, now 0. 0 means for the last columns. Okay, for 9,000, right, we don't have any immediate next second row. Immediate row we have, but we don't have any second row. So that's why 0. Okay. So for the last records which don't have the next row values, what is the value that we have to populate? So that value is 0. So here we can give 0, or we can give null, or we can give -999. So the value that we are going to give it here, so those values will be coming for the last rows. Okay. And for order by salary, ascending or descending order, from which column? So this column is ascending or descending order that you want to get the salary values. And lag function, we are going to get it previous row value in the current row. So for 3,000, do we have any previous row value? We don't have any previous row value because of that -999. Why? Because here we have given in the syntax. And for 5,000, do we have any previous row value? Previous second row value? We don't have any previous second row. We have previous first row, but we don't have any previous second row. So that is the reason -999. Now for 6,000, we have previous second row is 3,000. That's why we are getting 3,000. For 7,500, previous next second row is 5,000. That's why we are getting 5,000. Okay, so like this, if you wanted to get next row value in the current row, we are going to use lead function. Previous row value in the current row, we are going to use lag function. Okay. That's all. This lead and lag functions that we are going to use it. Any questions? Any doubts? Anyone? Guys, if you don't say anything, I'll assume that you have understood this. Okay. So next is list function. List function will not work in our laptop because the version which we are using is little older than the version which the function is going to execute. Okay, so the main purpose of this list function is basically here, if you see, right, department wise employee names. Now for each department, we have to get one record with all the employees are concatenated with comma. Now if you see here, so all department number 10, how many records are there? 1, 2, 3. 3 employees are there. So we need to get the data. We need to get this data with the comma separated values. So for this department, these are the employees. So to do this activity, we are going to use list function. If you wanted to get with the comma separated values, we are going to use list function. On a certain group, if you wanted to get all the matching values with comma separated, then we are going to use this list function. So for the group level functions, right, the sum, max, min, average, count, so they will be working only for numeric fields. Okay, when since they are working for numeric fields, so the list function is going to work for string data type values. Okay. So now when we have data something like this, and for each of the department, if you wanted to get all the string values with the comma separated, then we are going to use list function. So this will call it as transpose rows into columns. How do we transpose? These are all the rows into single column. We are going to use list function. Okay, so this is important for the testing team basically. Okay, so in Informatica, right? So as a developer, we are going to write in a different way. So the logic that we are going to implement in a different way. We are not going to use this list tag function, this aggregate function, we are not going to use. We will go with a different approach. Okay, but being a tester, so you have to write it in the select statement. To write in the select statement, so this is the function that we are going to use it. Okay. Yeah. So this is enough for today. So practice this group level functions and analytical functions today. Let me know if you have any doubts. Tomorrow, let me start with set operators. Okay. You guys able to hear me? First of all.